Hi, I'm Phil Bainbridge, and this demo video is for the tool to copy or move file into folder. The purpose of this tool then is to specifically take a number of Google Drive files and to move them or copy them into a number of Google Drive folders, depending on what you want. And we can use the operation value here to select what we do. So we can do this in bulk, and we can vary and be flexible with what we're moving or copying and where they are to and from. So let's go through a quick couple of examples then. I've got a test Google Drive folder here, and I've got two documents in here, just some pretend feedback for students, for instance. So I'm going to open both of these files. Now, the tool works in a couple of different ways, and one of the principles is you may have used one of the other app script tools to generate a number of file IDs already. So I'm going to add some manually here based on the assumption that you might have these in another spreadsheet. So to get a file ID, we go to the URL at the top, grab the long string there, paste that one in, and then grab the next one, copy and paste that one in like so. And I'm just going to close these for the moment. So you might have something that looks like this, but going down as far as you want with as many file IDs. So there's a couple of things we can do. First of all, is it'd be nice to have the file names as we organize and sort through what the actual files are themselves, because I've already forgotten which one was Jane's and Joe's. So if you go to the admin menu up here, there is the option Get File Names. If you click on that now, what it'll do is it'll loop through row by row, go and get the file, and then populate its name along with a clickable link into this particular column here. So once it's done, we get a nice pop-up message like so. And now we've got a direct link to that file. So if I click on there, it opens up Jane for me. You can then append more IDs if you want and run the tool again, and it will obviously just ignore any that it's already got a name for and just keep appending them further down. So that means we've got something quite flexible to work with now, where we can see the file IDs and the file names. The next thing is determining a destination. So if I go back to my test folders in here, I've got a student folders section, and Jane and Joe each have their own student folder. So inevitably what I might want to do is move the relevant file into the relevant students folder. So if I take a look and I've got Joe first, if I open Joe's folder, and if I grab the ID from the top, paste that into there, go back and get to Jane's, copy that ID, paste it into there. We have the same scenario. It would be nice to have the folder names just to check that that's been done correctly. So I can go to admin, get folder names, and as before, this is then going to loop through each of the rows, looking at this column and get the folder names. As I've mentioned, this is one of two ways to use the tool. You'll see another bulk way in a moment. I just want to show you the flexibility that it's got. So now we've got everything we need. We've got the file and we've got the destination folder. So if I just move over here to the operations section, we now have the ability to choose whether or not we want to copy or move the files. So in this instance, I'm just going to go for copy. I just want to put a copy of that file into that student folder. So I select the options there, and I can now go back to the admin menu and run the tool. And this is going to now loop through each row. For any rows that there's an ID in, it's going to go through and see what the operation is. If I just move over to here on the right, the status column will then also be populated with a completed once it's done. That means if you were to rerun the tool and append more rows, it won't try to do the same row again if there's something in the status column. Now, it takes about 7 or 8 seconds for Google and AppScript to copy a file. So there's a slight kind of delay here, but basically you can leave the tool running and go and do something else as long as you leave the Google Sheet open. So that's what we're looking for when it's completed, like so. If we jump into the student folders now, I was already in Jane's folder from before. If I just jump back and also go to Joe, we can now see that document's in there. So it might be that that folder's shared with the student and now you've released some feedback or some information for them. And obviously we've got the original files there. Okay, the other way of using this tool then, if I delete those two rows entirely, so we start from scratch, is you might have a Google Drive folder with all of the files already in them, like this one, for example. And you can bulk import that into the spreadsheet. So I'm going to go to the admin menu and I'm going to say, select a folder of files. Now we're going to get a pop-up message here just to confirm that. And it's going to tell us to make sure we only click the folder once when the next pop-up appears and not to double click it. So my folder name is copy or move file tool testing because you'll find it easier to search. Tool testing. So I'm going to search a little bit of the name there and narrow it down. So all we want to do is click the folder once to highlight it and then click the blue select button. Now you'll get a blank screen for a short while here. This is whilst it's going through the actual files and collating them in the background. So don't worry here, there'll just be a little bit of a small delay. If there was a problem or anything, it will pop up and show you. But can you see now then, in one fell swoop, we've brought the IDs and the file names into the spreadsheet in one go. Quite nice and easy. Now, we could, in this instance, going to do something slightly different. We're going to say that we actually want all of the files to go into one single folder, the identical folder. So I know that seems a bit weird because we've got specific feedback, but let's just say, for example purposes, I don't want to put them in the specific student folders. I want to just put them all in this generic Google Drive folder, just showing you that you could put multiple files in the same location. So what we do this time is we go to admin, select destination folder. I say you're using this when you want the same identical folders for everything listed in your spreadsheet at that point in time. So my folder name is move student folders. So I'm going to go move student folders like that. I'm going to select it once only to highlight it and then click the blue button. What it's going to do now is it's going to go and check I've got access and permissions to that folder. And then it's going to bring the ID and the name of it into the spreadsheet for us to use. So again, a little bit of a delay, but nothing to worry about. Okay, so we get the success message. So what's happened now is it's gone through all of the rows with all the file IDs that we have and put the same folder ID into each of those rows, again, with a nice clickable link so we can get to it. So again, this might be where you're collating a number of files and you want them all organized in one place. Maybe you're archiving some data, etc., etc. You can append more file IDs and do the same thing again, and it'll automatically append and won't overwrite itself. So as we did before, we can go to the operations. Let's do move this time. As I mentioned, you could mix them. That's absolutely fine. But we'll just do move because that's the last one to show. So again, I'm going to go to the admin menu and I'm going to select to run the tool. And it's going to go down row by row. It's going to make sure there's a file ID, there's a folder destination, and there's nothing in the status column so that it can bring it across. As I say, as long as you leave the spreadsheet open, you can go off and do something else, answer some emails, go and have a coffee break. It's absolutely fine. It will just run until it gets a chance to finish, and then the pop-up at the end will tell you that. So we can see there, successfully completed, 2 files have been actioned. So if I close that pop-up and I just go back here and I just refresh the page because it's a little bit fast, we can see those items have been moved in. And it's as simple as that. Thank you very much.